All right, welcome back. Here's your review for section 4.1 for Algebra A. Admittedly, I'm not going to work through all of these, but I'm going to give you a hint, at least give you a starting point on these so you can look at these. For number 1, this system of equations, you're given the two equations, and they want to know which of the points are a solution. Could be all three, could be none, could be one of the three, two of the three, so you need to check them. I did the first one here for you just to get you started. So we plug in 10 for x and 1 for y. Plug that into the first equation here. So I started with the top one. So you can see I plugged in 1 for y and 10 for x. And when we did that, we do end up with a true statement. We get 1 equal to 1. So far, so good. If it works for the first equation, then we have to check it for the second one. So I plugged in 1 again for y, 10 for x. And you can see for the second equation, 1 does not equal negative 55. So that is not a solution. So this is the process that you're going to repeat with these 2 points right here. Start with the first equation. If it works for the first one, then check the second one. If it doesn't work for the first one, then you don't even have to carry on with checking the second equation. So that's how we do number 1. Number 2, you're going to graph the system of equations, and you can see here that I have the top equation in blue, the bottom one in red. So when we slide over to the graph here, you can see which one is which. And what I did, both of them are in slope-intercept form. And so we're familiar with this. We did this on our reviews last week. You can see here that the y-intercept is 3. That's on the y-axis, so 3 on the vertical axis right there. And our slope is 1. So we went up 1 over 1. Do that a couple times. So that's our top equation. The bottom one, our y-intercept is negative 1. Again, that's on the vertical axis, not the horizontal. This is the y right here. So negative 1 on the y-axis. And then our slope is up 3 over 1. And our intersection point is right here at 2, 5. And you'll notice the second part of this, they want us to check our answer. And so we will plug 2, 5 into both of these equations. And when we do that, we get 5 equals 5 for both. So that is indeed a solution. So we got the right point from graphing, and we wrote that right there. And then our next question here on this page says solve each system by graphing, and then we also need to name it: consistent independent, consistent dependent, or inconsistent. Hopefully you remember, but just in case, consistent and independent, that means that the lines intersect. So if they cross, you're going to use this one. Consistent and dependent, that's what happens when you get the same line, and inconsistent is if they're parallel and never cross. So we'll start with the first one here. Notice right away the slopes are different. So if the slopes are different, you know before you even start that these lines are going to cross. So even if you had no idea how to graph them, if you see different slopes in slope-intercept form, you know you're dealing with consistent and independent. Now we're going to graph both of these lines so you can see the y-intercept here is 7. So positive 7, again on the y-axis. Our slope was negative 1/2, so down 1 over 2. Do that a couple times, down 1 over 2. And our second line here, the y-intercept was negative 5. So again, negative 5 on the y-axis. Our slope was 3. So up 3 over 1, up 3 over 1. And we keep going up 3 over 1 with each one. They're not asking us for the intersection point here. So it didn't say to write the solution. They just want us to see if it crossed or not. So this one's consistent and independent. The second one, the top graph here, that's in standard form. So you have two options. You could get it in the slope-intercept form. You can solve this for y if you'd like. Or you can do the x and y intercept. So I did the intercepts. So if I put 0 in for y, 4 goes into 20 5 times. Then I put 0 in for x, and negative 2 goes into 20 negative 10 times. And so I got my y-intercepts, and what you'll see with the blue graph here is I graphed that 5, 0, and 0, negative 10. Now our graph only went down to 9, so I just kind of guesstimated where 10 is there, and we'll make that work. The second equation has a y-intercept of negative 10, so we're at the same spot, and slope of 2. So if we go up 2 over 1, what you see is we hit the same 2 points. So the red graph here, the red equation, hits the same 2 points as the blue one. So that is the same line, and when that happens, that's consistent and dependent because they are the same line. All right, second page. So we've got a savings account problem here. Julie and Jenna both are saving money. It says that Jenna likes to save a little more than Julie. That's fine. It just means she's going to put away more each week. So Jenna started with no money, but she's saving $25 per week. Julie started with $250 and saves $10 per week. So first thing we're going to do is write our equations. So if we go back to Jenna here, she started with $0, but she's saving $25 per week. So we can write it like this, or you can write it as y equals 25x. We don't need to write the plus 0, but that just shows either one that she started with no money in her account and adding $25 a week. I'll come back to what this means here in a second. Julie is saving $10 per week, and she started with $250. So when we graph this, if you notice when we get over here to our graph, our weeks are going up by tens instead of every week. So I just did, this is $25 per week, so I did 25 times 10. And that lets me know that her account's going up $250 every 10 weeks. You can see we started at 0, I went up 250 for 10 weeks, up another 250 for 10 weeks, and another 250 for 10. Julie's account is going up $100 every 10 weeks, 10 times 10. So Julie started here at 250, going to go up 100 to 350 after 10 weeks, up another 100 after 10 weeks, up another 100. And so that's why I multiplied both of these by 10, took the slope times 10, because our grid is going up every 10 weeks. Now, they did not ask for an intersection point here. They changed our question around a little bit, which is fine. They asked who will have $450 first. So we can see if we look at Julie's account here in red, Julie has $450 at 20 weeks. We can see that clearly right there. It appears that Jenna is going to get to that point a little before that. And so what we'll do to solve or to find that, notice I wrote this little hint here, we're going to plug $450 in for y. And if I divide by 25, we can see that Jenna's going to get to $450 in 18 weeks. So Jenna got to $450 2 weeks before Julie did. And then they want us a graph, which we already did here, using our slope and y-intercept. Don't forget to label your axes. So we got weeks here. You can just put a $sign here for the balance in the account, or you could write balance. It doesn't have to be vertical like that either. That's fine. I just did it that way with a smartboard, but you can certainly write balance left to right or $sign, and that works as well. Okay, a couple review problems here to wrap up this quiz review. This is a review of two things. One, it's a review of the distributive property, but it's also a review of combining like terms. So you got 2 times x, so that's 2x, and 2 times negative 3 minus 6. Then we're subtracting 5x. I'm going to close that down just a little bit. There we go. And then we have distributive again. 4 times x is 4x. 4 times 7 is 28. And the 9x remains unchanged. Now, what I did here, you can combine your like terms right away. What I did, I just wrote the x's first and the non-variable terms, the constants, last. So I did 2x minus 5x plus 4x plus 9x and put the negative 6 and 28 at the end. You don't have to do that. I just did that to group like terms. And when we combine all of these x's, we get 10x, and negative 6 plus 28 is going to be 22. So our final answer, 10x plus 22. You could also write it as 22 plus 10x. That's fine. Number 6. So we have these expressions here. Negative 4.5, that's already in simplest form, so we can leave that one alone. The rest of these we're going to have to evaluate. And so the square root of 9 is 3. So negative of that is negative 3. Negative 12 divided by 3 is negative 4. This is 10 over 2, which is 5. And this is the square root of 16, which is 4. Now I color-coded these on purpose, so when we get to the graph, you can see each one by color. Typically, you're not using 5 different colors on your quiz, so that's fine. You can just write each number above your dots like we've been doing. Or if you want to call them A, B, C, D, E, and then put them appropriately, you can do that as well. But I just simplified them, and then by color is how I put the dots here. And then our last problem is a little bit of review of rational, irrational, natural whole, and integers. So 2 pi, we know pi is a decimal, goes on forever. So if we multiply that by 2, that's also a decimal that goes on forever. Any decimal that never ends, never terminates, doesn't have a clear pattern, that's irrational. And if you have an irrational number, it doesn't belong to any of these other groups. The negative square root of 25 simplifies to negative 5. That's a rational number. So we could write this as a fraction, negative 5 over 1. Basically, any number you could write as a fraction is always a rational number. Or if you can see this number stops, it has an end, so that makes it rational. Now, if you have a negative, it doesn't belong to these groups here. Negatives with no decimals are integers. So your whole numbers, that's going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way out to infinity. And your naturals, that's your counting numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So because this is negative 5, it's an integer, and it's irrational. 5/3, it's a fraction. Anytime you have a fraction, that goes into the rational grouping, and it does not fit any of these, because none of these groups have fractions or decimals. So that's your quiz review, quick summation of that. Again, I'll be available for help sessions this week. Make sure you check the weekly lesson plan for those times. And if you have questions, shoot me an email. All right, thanks.